8:14, welcome back to the show. And identity theft impacts over 11 million people a year. Basically, that's 7% of Americans. Now, if you don't think it's a problem and you know it happens in other states, nope. Need to remind you of the state data breach that put about 3 million taxpayers at risk. Well, we've all been watching the Target data breach from the holiday season widen to include more. I mean, first it was card information, then it was PIN numbers, and now it includes home addresses and phone numbers to the tune of 100 million shoppers. So, of course, someone has your information. What does it really mean? And did you know, by the way, it could kill you, literally. Security expert Terry Jones from Palmetto Risk Group joins us this morning. Terry, what do you mean it could kill me? If somebody steals my identity, it could kill me?
Well, good morning, Tyler. The five major players in the identity theft market are driver's license identity, medical identity, social security numbers, character and criminal, and then only 26% is financial.
Right.
So when I say identity theft could kill you, say you're an O positive blood type. And someone steals your medical identity and goes to the hospital. Well, of course, during the test, they change their blood type because their blood type's not your blood type.
So they say, oh, we made a mistake, cross it out, put in A negative.
Exactly. So 6 months down the road, you're on your motorcycle, you have a really bad crash, you go into the hospital unconscious, they give you the wrong blood type, dead man. Just that simple.
I don't even think about that.
No, no one does. They think it's something that happens everywhere else.
You know, of course, ID theft, when we read it to you so you know exactly what we're talking about, is defined as the unauthorized use or attempted misuse of an existing credit card or other existing account for the misused personal information to open a fraudulent account. That's ID theft. But, you know, we were talking also about driver's licenses, and Jane and I talked about it. So somebody steals your name and date of birth, they get a ticket because you say, officer, I lost my license, but I'm Tyler Ryan, 102677, and I don't know anything about it. I'm driving down the street, I'm head out to the lake, and I get stopped, and they say, well, Mr. Ryan, you failed to show up for court. You're off to the goose And you go, it wasn't me. And they go, sure, it wasn't you, sir.
How many times do the law enforcement hear, it wasn't me?
Yeah, it wasn't me, that was your mother.
And then they give them the 9 little words they learned in the academy to keep them out of trouble. Duck your head as you get in the car.
That's right. Well, let's talk about Target, because this thing has gone from 40 to 70, now potentially $110 million. What do you mean they have our information? And what exactly is our exposure when Target and Neiman Marcus, of course, just talked about it?
A lot of people think that if they're not getting the data breach alerts from the free service that the state is now given, which encompasses your entire credit file, Target has actually not only lost just credit card information, because when anyone went to Target and they charged something, when they swiped that card, it read the card number, it read the account number, and it read that 3-digit code on the back, which is their code. If you have that right now anywhere on the internet on the black market, credit cards with that 3-digit code are going for about $500 a piece.
So I could buy you for $500.
Easy.
Just buy your ID, just like that.
Driver's license, social security card is about $750.
That is really, really scary stuff. So they so far now, Target's saying they have not only credit card number, they also have your date of birth, your home address, they have your phone number. So you really could walk in and say, hey man, I'm Terry Jones, I live at 1400 Pickens Street, my address, my date of birth is this, and somebody would have no reason not to believe you. We really live in a trusting society. We still do.
With the 3.6 million social security numbers that were lost in the South Carolina data breach last year, now what the thieves are doing is they're doing something new. It's called a synthetic identity.
Okay.
So they'll take your driver's license number, my social security number, and somebody else's date of birth, and they will create a person.
Create a man.
So all of your credit files are looked at for a computer. So if a computer can't find anything wrong with it, they'll grant you a credit card. And then at that point, the jurisdictional nightmares start, because it's bought in New York, it's used in Texas, you live in California.
Good God.
Whose case is it?
We're going to continue on. Terry Jones, Palmetto Risk Group is his company, and ID theft, certified in ID theft and fraud. We're going to talk in just a little bit about what to do if you're one of those people. You get a letter from Target saying, hey, we need to talk about that, what your options are and how you somehow get your life back and make it your own. Stay with us. Garrett Beebon's coming up, too, with your 7-day forecast. Do not move. Crime is the biggest crime going here in this country, beating the drug cartels or any other thing you can think of, because it impacts so many people. Over 11 million people, 7% of us are impacted by identity theft. If we hear about Target, we hear about Neiman Marcus that just announced they were, well, I guess victims of a breach, as was the state of South Carolina. Terry Jones from Palmetto Risk Group joins us this morning talking about ID theft, what it really means. But I guess the big question is, okay, so white-collar crime is this humongous problem. You've got millions and millions of people impacted. Why isn't anything being done? What's happening? How are we protected, man?
Well, identity theft has been a secret crime for many years. And the problem is the government has not given the Federal Trade Commission, who is the identity theft watchdog, any teeth.
What do you mean?
I mean, there are no fines that can be imposed. They've got them on the books and says, if you leave some personal information on your desk and you go to the coffee machine, you come back.
You mean like as an HR director?
As an HR director. That's $1 million fine. But the problem is, as we go to talk to these companies, they don't want to hear about how we can help them protect that information or be compliant, because nobody is enforcing any laws, nobody's enforcing any kind of the fines, so they can't get in trouble for losing your identity. That's why the Target and the Neiman Marcus really are not going to do anything for you. It's up to you to do your own due diligence.
So local law enforcement, I know, we're going to talk about the new program the state has for us after their data breach, but local law enforcement really can't help. You've really got to get down and protect yourself, is what you're saying.
Well, local law enforcement is your first line of defense. You definitely want to get in touch with them. And, we've partnered with Interim Chief Ruben Santiago. He has a joint task force with the FBI and the United States Secret Service to impact the fraudulent charges. So if there's anything going on, your first line of defense, other than taking normal steps, which we're going to talk about in just a few minutes, is to get in touch with your local law enforcement, because they have trained people down there.
So you're talking about when you get the bill, you open it up and you go, my God, a weekend at Barbados.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because the problem is once, if you don't put the credit freezes on your information, and that's the first thing you need to do, because the state is not doing that for you.
Well, that's what I want to know is the state, if you're one of the taxpayers impacted in the state, they offer you this fantastic free service, put you in a bubble. Is that not the case?
That's the case, because free is not always free.
All right, fair enough.
All right. So what the state has done is they've set up what's called a resolution policy, which they resolve to let you know that your identity has been breached. And the best way to explain
they're just going to tell us when it's been breached.
Right. The best way to explain resolution is you and your spouse come home from dinner.
Okay.
Your house is engulfed in flames.
Right.
You dial 911. You talk to local fire department. You say, my house is in flames. This is a resolution action that the fire department will do. Well, Mr. Ryan, we're so sorry. We'll send you a packet in the mail, and just to make you feel better, we're going to give you a fireman's helmet and an axe just so you feel safe. You go put that fire out, and we'll help you with the rest of it.
So what about my house burning down?
Okay, well, that's what the state is offering to us. And what the problem is it's a free service and everybody's getting involved in it, but they don't understand what it is. I encourage you to do your due diligence and find companies that do what's called restoration.
Okay.
Now, restoration, pretty much an old-timey house, you restore it to new. The restoration action of that fire department is they send the fire department out. They put the fire out. Okay. They do the investigation, and they restore you to where you were. That is what you need.
All right. Well, we've restoration. Whew, that's a lot of stuff to suck into on a Monday morning. Real quick, Terry, what happens? Let's say you get that call. The first steps, you got to make some phone calls yourself. You've got to protect yourself. Right.
Right now, just as soon as the segment's over, you need to get on the phone. They're going to flash up 3 numbers: Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. Those are the 3 major players. Call those 800 numbers. Tell them to put a credit free.
Now, this is not if you're a victim. This is right now. Everybody
this is right now.
Everybody needs to do this.
Because everybody's already a victim. 3.6 million people just in South Carolina alone.
Wow.
Call and tell them that you want to put a credit freeze on your account. And simply what that does is if anybody tries to open up credit in your name, it will throw up a flag and they won't be able to do it. Because it's a whole lot easier to know that somebody's trying to open up credit today than to try to pay for a $500,000 house tomorrow.
Now, that's not going to stop them, but it's going to slow them down a second so you can hopefully get in front of them.
Exactly, because these are smash and grabs. These are targets of opportunity. If they have your information, you've got that credit freeze on there. When they swipe that card or try to open up that account and they are denied, then they leave you alone for a while. But it doesn't mean you're out of the system, because everybody out there on the black market has your information. It's just a matter of when they're going to use it and how bad.
Terry Jones, Palmetto Risk Group, thank you so much for
Thanks,
that
Tyler.
restoration. You got to get restored, you got to get there. Phone numbers you get there for you at watch.com, as well as links over to Terry. Guys, stick on. We got a lot more Good Day Columbia on the way. We want you to make sure you're still you when you come back. We are talking more about that ID theft and that breach at Target, as well as watching faith grow with Freddie Clairvaux. Stay with us.